The storyteller welcomes you to another nightmare. Plug in your earphones, close your eyes, and let us begin.
Have you ever watched someone you love walk back into your life and wish they hadn't? My son disappeared for 3 days in the woods. No trace, no sounds, no tracks. He just vanished. And then, on the 4th night, he came back. But it wasn't him. Not really. Whatever came back was wearing my son's face. And I'll tell you right now, some things should never return. It was supposed to be a quiet getaway. Just me, my wife Sarah, and our 10-year-old son, Eli. We booked this small, isolated cabin near a lake in British Columbia. We'd been there once before, years ago, and remembered it being peaceful, untouched, exactly what we needed after the chaos of city life. No cell service, no traffic, just mountains, trees, and sky. Eli loved it instantly. He's always been curious, outdoorsy. He spent the first day collecting cool rocks, chasing dragonflies, climbing on logs. I hadn't seen him that happy in months. The cabin was small but cozy, with stove, bunk beds, a porch that looked out at the lake. The forest wrapped around it like a hug. But even then, I remember feeling something was off, like the silence was too perfect, like something was listening. It happened on the 3rd day. Eli was just a few feet away, crouched near the tree line, putting together some kind of rock sculpture. I remember smiling, watching him from the porch while Sarah rummaged through the backpack for sunscreen. She turned to hand it to me, looked back, and said, "Where's Eli?" I thought she was joking at first, but when I looked, he was gone. No sound, no scream, no rustling leaves, just gone. We ran into the trees, yelling his name, over and over. We circled the lake, searched the trails. I even jumped into the water, thinking he might have slipped in. Nothing. By nightfall, we called an SAR, search and rescue. They showed up with dogs, heat drones, helicopters. For 3 days, dozens of people scoured the forest. They found no tracks, no clothes, no scent trail. It was like he vanished into thin air. And then came the 4th night. It was around 2 a.m. Sarah, and I hadn't really slept since he vanished. We were sitting by the fireplace in the cabin, dead quiet, except for the wind through the trees. And then we heard it, footsteps, crunching slowly across the gravel path outside. Steady, soft. I grabbed the flashlight and opened the door. It was Eli, barefoot, shirt dirty, eyes wide, calm, like he'd just gone for a walk. I froze. Sarah screamed and ran to him, pulling him into a hug, but he didn't hug her back. He just stood there, staring over her shoulder at the forest. I'll never forget the way he looked at those trees, like something was still out there, watching. We brought him inside, wrapped him in blankets, tried asking him where he'd been. What happened? He didn't answer, wouldn't speak, wouldn't blink, just kept staring at the tree line through the window. That night, I woke up to a whisper, not in English, not even in any language I recognized. I turned on the flashlight, and Eli was sitting on the floor, mumbling, rocking slowly, his hands drawing shapes in the dust near the fireplace. We tried talking to him, yelling, shaking him. He looked up at us and whispered something that made my stomach twist. "It's still hungry." Then he smiled, not like my son, like something wearing his skin. In the morning, He was outside again, on his knees, drawing the dirt with a stick. The symbols were jagged, ancient-looking, circles with slashes, triangles with dots, like cave drawings, but wrong. Sarah found more carved into the trees. Deep, clean cuts, way too precise for a kid. We called the Rangers, thinking maybe there had been someone else out here, some sick person playing games. They didn't laugh. One of them, a quiet older guy named Ben, took one look at the carvings and went pale. He told me he'd seen those before, said they predated the logging records, that some of the trees with those symbols were over 100 years old. This forest has stories, he told me, and not all of them want to be told. That last night, I locked all the doors, pulled Eli into bed between us. We were done. First light, we were leaving. At around 3:07 a.m., Eli sat bolt upright, eyes wide, smiling. He whispered, "It's here." The lights in the cabin flickered, and through the window we saw them. Lights, dozens of them, like lanterns floating between the trees, slowly weaving through the forest toward us. But there were no people, just the lights, moving, pulsing, watching. Eli stood up and walked to the door, unlocked it. We grabbed him, held him tight, begging him not to go. He looked at us and said, in that same dead voice, "It let me go, but it wants more." Then he passed out cold. At sunrise, we packed up and left that cabin behind. Drove straight to the nearest town. Didn't stop once. Doctors ran every test. Physically, Eli was fine. Perfect, actually. No dehydration. No bruises. Nothing wrong. Except he wouldn't speak again for 6 weeks. And when he did, the first thing he asked was, "Do the trees still whisper?" We've never gone back. We sold the cabin, burned the photos. But Eli, he still draws the symbols. He says he doesn't remember anything. But sometimes late at night, I hear him talking in that other language again. And the worst part, a month ago, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Inside was a photograph of Eli standing in the forest, surrounded by those lights. And he was smiling. If you take anything from this story, it's this: there are places in this world that don't want us there. Places that wait, that watch, that remember. And sometimes when they take something from you, they give it back. But it's not the same. It's never the same. Before we move on to the next story, if you like true scary stories, please subscribe to Storyteller and click the bell icon for more creepy tales every week. Have you ever gotten a notification that made your heart stop? I did. It was 2:17 a.m. when my phone buzzed. A baby monitor alert. Sound and movement detected in Lila's room. But here's the thing. Lila had been dead for 6 months. Her room had been untouched since the funeral. The monitor? Disconnected. Or so I thought. What I saw on that screen that night. It changed everything I believed about death and what comes after. I need you to understand something before I tell you the rest. When you lose a child, time stops. For everyone else, the world keeps spinning. But for you, you're stuck. Frozen in the moment, everything fell apart. For me, that moment was 6 months ago. A rainy October afternoon. 1 minute, Lila was chasing her ball in the driveway. The next, there were headlights. I remember the silence after the impact. Not a scream, not a cry, just nothing. I never really moved on. I couldn't even bring myself to clean her room. The bed was still made, her stuffed animals lined up on the shelves, the little carousel nightlight on the dresser, frozen mid-spin from the last time I turned it off. I hadn't stepped inside since the day we buried her. And the baby monitor? It was just an app on my phone. I thought I had uninstalled it, or at least turned off the notifications. So when I got that alert in the middle of the night, I figured it had to be a glitch. I wish it had been. Sound and movement detected in Lila's room. My hands were shaking as I unlocked my phone. The live feed opened. It was pitch black, just a faint, ghostly green from the night vision filter. At first, nothing. Then something moved. The carousel nightlight. It began to turn. Slowly. Silently. And then the lullabies started playing. I froze. That thing hadn't been plugged in for months. I ran. I don't even remember getting up the stairs. I slammed open the door to her room. Nothing. Just cold air and stillness. The nightlight? Off. Unplugged. I checked the windows. Locked. Closet empty. The room was just as I'd left it. I told myself I was overtired. Maybe I imagined it. Maybe the video glitched. You hear about those things happening, right? But the next night, it happened again. And the night after that, every night, around the same time, between 2:15 and 2:20 a.m., I'd get the alert. And every time I'd open the feed and see something, the mobile spinning, the rocking chair moving slightly, the shadows shifting. Once I heard giggling, not loud, not playful, just a soft, high-pitched giggle, like someone trying not to be heard. Another time it was crying, barely there, but unmistakable. A child sob, and then there was the whisper. It said, "Mommy." I dropped the phone. I started crying right there on the kitchen floor, because I knew that voice. It was Lila. That night, I did something I hadn't done since she died. I opened the baby monitor app again, not just the live feed, but the archive clips. And there they were, hundreds of recordings, short clips, some a few seconds, others a minute or two, all time-stamped, all from the same room, all dated after Lila's death. I opened one. It was her crib, and there, barely visible in the corner, was a figure, tiny, barefoot, standing motionless. Lila. Another clip showed her sitting on the edge of her bed, staring directly at the camera. Her lips moved. I turned the volume all the way up, tell her I'm still here. I didn't sleep for days. I stayed up watching every clip. Some of them were empty, but you could hear breathing. Other times, the camera would shake. Once, it fell over completely, like something had knocked it down. One clip showed her toys, all of them, rotating on their own, slowly, in unison. I called the app company, pretended I was a concerned parent trying to recover corrupted footage. They told me something that made my blood run cold. That monitor was disconnected 6 months ago. There's no active camera linked to your account. I asked them to check again. They confirmed it. No signal, no device, but I was still getting alerts, still seeing the footage, still hearing her. There's one clip I haven't been able to forget. It showed up on a Thursday morning. At first, I thought it was another repeat, just Lila standing in the corner, head tilted, but then something changed. She looked up, directly into the camera, and smiled. "You see me now." The lights in the room began to flicker. The mobile spun violently. The walls, I'm not kidding, the walls shook, and then the video cut to black. I tried to open it again. It was gone. Every single recording. Deleted. Wiped from the app. And then no more alerts. No movement. No sound. Just silence. Some people say grief plays tricks on you. That trauma can make your brain see things. Hear things. I want to believe that's all this was. But then last week, I found something. I was packing away her things. Finally, try and move on. I reached under a crib to pull out an old doll, and there it was, my phone. The one I lost the day of the accident. The screen was cracked, battery dead, but it was open to the baby monitor app. And the last alert? Sound and movement detected in Lila's room, 2:17 a.m. Same day she died. Same time. Same words. I don't know what that means, but I haven't turned the app back on. And I haven't stepped into her room since. Because late at night, sometimes, I still hear the mobile playing, even when the power's out. Some goodbyes are never final. If you hear a voice from the other side, don't answer it.